Okay, another day of game development. See what we got going on. Like, what even is today? I got lost in the sauce! Hey guys, and welcome back to the devlog for February, plus a couple weeks. This one took a little bit longer, and I can explain. Before I get into that, I am changing up the editing style a little bit. I want to give some more energy to the videos, so let me know what you guys think down in the comments, both of the development of the game, but also this new editing style. With that said, let's get into it. So, yeah, this was a little bit late because of a couple things. One, the main thing is, like, this last month is kind of transitional. And I'll get into that in a little bit, but also it was midterms for the students at the college I teach at. My role is being a mentor and also a tutor, so trying to get these students to get through midterms. Obviously I have to put my focus into that, but that's over now. Everybody can breathe. So I've been able to focus a lot more on the actual developing of the game. So with that said, let's start off with showing you guys the progress made in Unreal Engine. In the actual VR project, and then I'll start getting into the meat of what this past month and a half have been with this transitional stuff. So watch this. Woo! So this is the original level layout that I had for the demo level, and also going to be the first level of the campaign. And I'm liking a lot of the root stuff here, but it wasn't really getting to where I wanted it to be. So I really needed to change things up. So with that, I decided to go into a new level and change proportions of some of the layout, but also make sure that things could be different for when it comes to a lot of the models. And I'm really happy with how some things are coming out here. There's some things I definitely need to update, but for the prototype of what this game is, already above and beyond. I really want to just get more familiar with foliage though, and seeing different foliage types and seeing how I can model those out and you know what I could do here. At the end of the day, I'm really liking how things are, how the art style is coming together and really starting to get to where I want it to get to. Now, some things I don't like, things I would need to change for final look would be the shaders for the leaves here, as well as how the mesh is working together. I did like these really low poly caps here, but I'm not really liking that. I think I want something that's more plumey. So that's something we need to be working on. With that said, I'm really liking how this environment is now working together, and at the same time, I'm really happy with the process I came up with this, going through the sculpting and then going back through the retopo and stuff like that. That's the first time I ever actually did that for the foliage. I've done for characters and stuff like that, and you know, props like this, but I haven't done it for foliage. So this was a really fun process of going through and learning how to make things feel organic with a nice stylized sculpt. And then going through and having them be really nice and optimized. I'm really happy with how these guys came out. But other than that, that's pretty much it for the changes made in the game itself. Talking about different foliage types and being able to build up and get those you know, beautiful scene moments. But other than that, it's been mostly working on this transitional stuff. So before I even get into that, I kind of need to give some reference to where this idea generated from and why I'm doing it. So first, let's take a little trip down memory lane. Ooh. Oh look, it's College Daniel. What is he working on? Is it a procedurally generated dungeon game on his old MacBook Pro 2017?
Yeah, man, I'm totally making this epic game. It's totally awesome. It has a procedurally generated dungeon that I'm able to go around and use to play a game.
So yeah, I made a procedurally generated dungeon game back in college, and here's a little prefab of it here. Basic idea is when the player walked into a new tile, it would generate more tiles around it. And going back into that code actually reminded me a lot of the experience I had when looking back to my old models, right? Because this is, for example, the one I'm showing right now is a lightsaber of a model I did when I first got into Maya versus something I did a year later, where I was able to properly do UVs, get textures in, was able to make sure that things were clean, able to do animations that have things that have extra flair. You know, there's a lot of growth that happened in that amount of time, and this is the first time I felt that with coding, because before, my coding looked like spaghetti. It was just bad. But now, it's so simple. It's literally just me in sequence calling all of my functions, and then each function is literally just a simple, like, 3-phase series here, between seeing if I can build, what tiles can I build, and then actually placing in the tile. Now, let me explain this a little bit further. So with this specific new system, I had it set up so that way I have 12 doors set up. So the doors are also set up in positions similar to a clock. So 12 is up top, 6 is below, and so on. And this is also set up with like standard like north, south, east, west. So 12 is north, 6 is south, 3 is east, and 9 is west, right? And we can see that in action here when we get into game, how whenever I start walking into a new tile, it will always build a new tile unless there's another tile already there. I put in a safety check to make sure that there wasn't going to be like overlapping. And you can see here as I walk towards this door how the doors will match up and overlap. Now this tile I walked into specifically is a 2x1. So the first thing I shot was the master tile, and then it goes into the child tile. And as soon as I cross over, it's then able to spawn in new tiles based off of that. But then that's where things started to get crazy, because then I started really going in on trying to make these tiles feel a little more complex. I didn't do lighting or anything like that yet, but I was really just trying to get a lot of the modeling put in together. So then I started doing more, like adding in a weapon swap system. Adding in so that way if I aim, it will work. But if I'm holding in a melee weapon, it won't be able to aim. Making it so mobility works like super fluently. So if I want to walk around, it works out fine. I mean, that's part of the default stuff, but I added in a sprint, and if you try to run sideways, it's faster for you to run forward instead of strafing to left or right. Also added in ability to squat, ability to, if you're running and then squatting, go into a slide. What happens if you're squatted and want to run? Well, if you hit the run button, you'll instantly stand up and go into a run. Things like a jump, things like a double jump, things like if you're going into an object, there's a slight little mantle. Things like destructible crates. Things like being able to jump over vast distances. Things where if you do like a double jump in quick succession, you'll be able to jump higher. And so on. Not to mention things like full-on levels like this tavern. Hello, Nick. He's our guy. He's the guy you'd go to buy stuff and be able to do a lot of other things. Things like animating fire. Yes, I kind of put in a lot of effort into trying to get this to look a certain way and feel a certain way. Don't get me wrong, I'm liking what it's doing. I'm liking where it's going. But at the same time, like I said before, I got lost in the sauce. Because the whole point behind doing this new project was to do coding for things like multiplayer, class selection, applying perks, stuff like that, where I wanted to have a better understanding and test it out without having to jump in and out of VR every single time. So with that said, it's been a long process of me getting in all these extra features, and I'm putting the brakes on that finally, so I can finally get into the process of taking these steps into these problems that I need to solve. And that's a big thing too. It's taking the moments to understand, like, hey, I don't know this stuff yet. I need to figure this out. And it's not other stuff where it's like I'm able to just play with it and code it for a bit. It's something where I need to actually dedicate the time to, figuring out how the other subsystems work and to making sure that this can actually work properly for the players. And I want to make sure I do it right, especially when it comes to VR. I don't want players being all like janky and weird. So I figured doing like a little test project game first would be a good start. That said, if this does develop into a game, like a game, I'll think about launching it. It all just depends on how much effort I put into it as I work on the VR game as well. Like if there's times where I'm feeling tired of working in VR, I'm like, okay, let me just make a couple tiles. Let me just maybe work on modeling an enemy. I might be doing stuff like that, just so I have something else to work on as I'm, shaking things up. But with that also said, the dungeon builder system, I also might want to get that on the Unreal Engine marketplace. If that's something you guys are interested in as developers, let me know, and I'll try to polish it up a little bit more and get it out there for you guys. And I think that would pretty much be it for this month of February and like 2 weeks of March. As always, if you guys like the content and want to see more, or just want to help the game, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Really helps out a lot. More than you guys even know. Like showing that there's people interested in this stuff really does make an impact. And at the same time, if you guys are interested in seeing any of the previous work or what I'm doing daily, I do stream on Twitch, and there's also the previous videos on YouTube, so go check those out. That's gonna be it for me, guys. So hope you guys have a good day, a good night, whatever it is. I hope it's going good. Peace out.